the Red Light Racing Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the podcast, or welcome back. Well, I made a podcast last night when I got home talking about Yuki, the potential thing of happening with Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson. Was at work this morning, and turns out they've done it. They've done it already. So I think it was a done deal from what everyone had seen before all of this had came out. But yeah, I'm just hoping that Red Bull aren't going to go around shafting all of their second seat drivers. Like I said in yesterday's podcast or the podcast before, if you've listened to them in chronological order, I'm a bit worried about Yuki. I'm a Yuki fan, and I don't want him to get absolutely fucked over by Red Bull. Like, Red Bull have fucked over all of their second seat drivers. All of them. All of them have been shafted. Perez kind of got a bit of a sweet deal out of it because he had all the sponsors, but they shafted him. They completely fucked him up. He's no longer in F1. There's talks of him going to Cadillac next year because he's a decent driver, but everyone's like, oh, but he didn't do that well. He didn't do that well in that Red Bull car. No cunt has. No one has. And if they're like people moaning about, oh yeah, but give him a go. He's proven himself. Yuki's a great driver. I'm a big Yuki fan. I am worried that he's going to go to that Red Bull seat, go in that car. He's going to use that car. I might be completely wrong, and I really hope I am. I really genuinely hope I'm wrong, and I hope he gets like P2 or P1 and just beats Max straight away, or is there with Max. But yeah, a lot of pressure on Yuki, little Yuki shoulders. So he is meant to be going into Red Bull seat for this weekend's race. Not this one, the next one, sorry. The next weekend's race in Suzuka in Japan. Fuck me. So it's not just a massive deal that he's joining Red Bull and he's got to, live up to the expectations of Red Bull and do well. If not, he's fucked. And they ain't probably not going to give him back his seat unless Liam is absolutely shite in the V-carb. But it's not just the point that he's joining Red Bull, it's the other point that he's joining Red Bull during his first Grand Prix, well, his first, but in his home race. This is his first race with Red Bull, and it's in his home race. It's in Japan. If that ain't enough pressure, he's then got the pressure of the crowd, his supporters. It's going to be huge. Red Bull are going to make a shit ton of money next weekend in Japan. They're going to make a fucking killing. But all of that pressure on Yuki. So this is Yuki's moment to fucking shine. Let's face it. He's either going to sink, which, if you were a bookie, what would you say he's going to do? Is he going to sink or is he going to swim? I have no idea. None of us do. I hope he swims. But looking at the track record of that second seat and the pressure of all of this and all of that, he's got a good chance of sinking. And I really, really hope he doesn't, because I love little Yuki. I want him to do well. I want him to stay in that Red Bull seat. He should have been in that Red Bull seat years ago. But then maybe we were all wrong. And I think a lot of Yuki fans are a little bit concerned about this move. I am. And I've seen it online as well. Because let's face it, it's been many years in the making. And now he's got the opportunity to do it. And we've all been saying, he's ready. And what if he goes there and he has the same performance of Liam, and Red Bull are like, well, Liam's doing quite well in V-carb, we're not going to drop Liam. Like, there's rumours that Red Bull wanted to drop Yuki for a while, but he's only got ties there. Again, this is all speculative. He's only there because of a Honda deal. So Honda have got all this power with Red Bull, with their engines and all of that. But because Honda aren't going to be part of V-carb and Red Bull next year, it's going to be Ford and their own Red Bull engine, or the combination of the two. They no longer need Yuki and the Honda deal. So it's not looking bright for Yuki. So this is his chance to prove to Red Bull that they're fools and they should have hired him a long time ago. I would love to see Yuki get a podium on his first race in a Red Bull car. And there's nothing to say he can't, because Max is doing it in the car that he's got at the moment. Like I said in the previous podcast, that car is built around Max. So if Yuki can adapt to it really, really super quick within fucking practice, qualifying, and, get it straight away in the Grand Prix, if he does that, then that guy is goated. He probably isn't, let's be real, but I'm very, very optimistic. I'm not going to completely shit on Yuki because I don't want to, and I don't think he doesn't deserve that because he hasn't had the opportunity. But you've got to take it with a pinch of salt of which way it's going to go. I hope it goes positively, and I hope he does really well. He's literally just behind Max or ahead of him. That'll be incredible. Can I see that happening realistically on his first weekend in a Red Bull car on his home Grand Prix? No, I can't. But I want to. I am all for it. I'm dreaming for it. I want it to happen. But it's a big, big ask for him to do that weekend. So hopefully he does, because it'd be great. Also, I wanted to talk about yesterday about a race that happened last in China. So as you may gathered, or you may have known, or you may not know, but I am a Ferrari fan. You may also be a Ferrari fan, or whatever fan you are. Congrats. But oh my God, Ferrari had an absolute shocker. I mean, I think it's one of the worst opening seasons I've experienced for many years. Fucking double disqualification. It was just Lewis's skid board was something like 0.8 mil out, which is roughly the same thickness of a credit card. That's tiny. But again, there's things in place where, you've got to follow it, because any micro, if you're not in that threshold, you have technically got an advantage. But his was that, and Leclerc's was being underweight. And what they were saying is, why Leclerc was underweight is because of what they did with the tyres. They pushed him out for too long. So if they switched to tyres, they said that weight would have been enough. And I'm not sure if it was 1 kg, but it's quite a lot. I know people are like, that's 1 kilogram, that's not much. It actually is quite a bit in F1's speaking. It adds you a lot of speed. But what I did find very interesting this weekend, with the weekend just being in China, is when Leclerc damaged his front wing, and it was like the side, they're gonna be like the things that stick up vertically on the side of the front wing. They were off. Well, one of the sides it was off, and the car seemed to be rapid, like really, really quick. And throughout the race, Leclerc was saying, "Let me switch with Lewis Hamilton and all of this." And Lewis was on the other end, like, "You can have it, but he's got to give me back my space. If you can't get up to George." So there was this bit of, oh no, this is Lewis's moment of understanding what Ferrari's like as a team. They are about the team. They're not about the drivers. They're on about what is best for the team. If Leclerc's doing a better race, or Lewis is doing a better job, they will be very cutthroat and be like, "Listen, switch positions. It's for the team." If Leclerc can steal another point because you're not going to do it, or vice versa with Lewis, they're very cutthroat. They don't think about the drivers. They want the team to win. They want the constructors. Of course, they want world championships, but they'd also tie that in if they're in the situation of being able to get the world championship, one of their drivers. But at the moment, that ain't the case. So the dynamic between Leclerc and Lewis is slowly starting to unpeel. You may not share that opinion, but I think with Lewis going from Mercedes, having that clout and, knowing the infrastructure of Mercedes, then going to a foreign team, Ferrari, which he's never driven a Ferrari-powered engine before until this year, for F1, that is. He probably got a few Ferraris at home. But it's a learning curve. And it's not just that, it's also the dynamic between him and his race engineer, his technical engineers and all of that. All of it's very, very different to Mercedes. There's probably protocols in place where he's been accustomed to at Mercedes, and now he's in Ferrari. The world has literally been flipped upside down for him. And he's got the likes of Leclerc there, who's also fucking world class, let's face it. I think he could win a world championship at any point, but he needs a car, he needs a strategy. I know it's biased because I'm a Ferrari fan, but let's face it, he's one of the quickest drivers on the grid. And if you don't agree with that, then fuck me. Have you watched much F1? But anyway, it's going to be spicy between the two of them, because not just that, but the dynamic with Lewis and his race engineer, doesn't come across that positive during the Grand Prix. Like, he'll be saying the same things to Lewis, and Lewis will be like, I know, you've said this now for like the 14th time. Leclerc said the same thing. And he's being polite about it. And I get it. It's like the language barrier, even though the Italians do speak very good English and the Ferrari the guys are amazing. I think, I don't know what dynamic that is between the two. The English and an English driver going to the Italian team of Ferrari. Fucking hell, I've had a long day, by the way. I haven't had lunch yet. I need to. So that might be playing a factor into it. Maybe like the communication with like, I don't know. I was watching it. I was like, is he really picking up what's going on? I don't know. Like, they're probably trying to say something to him. I don't know. I get he's trying to say something to him, but are they trying to say something to him, like hinting at a possible, like, you need to think about this. We don't really want to be like saying this out loud to the whole teams to hear. So they keep saying the same thing over and over again to emphasize you should do something because this needs doing, but we don't want to make it out so apparent what your issues are. That's what I sometimes pick up from Ferrari's racing engineers. They repeat themselves to make you think, oh shit, this isn't the actual issue. There's something else going on. They just don't want to declare it for the other teams. It's like hidden messages. And maybe Lewis hasn't been picking that up on that well. And was it the other day? Like, they were saying, oh, press, I'm going to say V button to overtake. And he was like, I am. And I'm like, maybe there's more to it. I don't know. That's how I kind of see it from an outsider. Maybe it's like it's hidden messages in their communication and Lewis isn't quite picking up on that, maybe. That's my only bit, which I'm a little bit confused with the Ferrari dynamic with Lewis at the moment. But again, that could just be pie in the sky stuff and me just talking out my asshole. Probably the case. But let's hope, going back to Yuki, that he does well in Red Bull. I'm optimistic, but you need to be realistic. I don't know if he will do a great job straight away. I think he will eventually, but not straight away. But anyway, I thought I'd just do a little podcast talking about this and the changes that was going on. Liam's going to V-Carb by the looks of things, which I think will be a good thing for Liam. A bit of a refresh and a bit of a confidence booster again. I think he should get his confidence back going into fucking hell. He literally went from heaven to hell real quick, going from V-Carb to Red Bull. It was a massive, massive fall from the tree. So let's hope he can bounce back from this and like get his confidence back and go, do you know what? I'm a good driver. Do I really need to go to Red Bull? Do I really need to be in the mother team? Maybe not. And if he proves himself in V-Carb, then other teams might be looking at him going, oh, he has actually got potential. That Red Bull stint, again, like 2 races and he's out. That's fucked. But I get it at the same time. Like, this year's really important for Red Bull to hopefully win in their eyes. Not in my eyes. I want Ferrari to win this year. But they're hoping for a win, constructors and racing, and a race championship, world championships. But they need a good second driver. So, of course, they're looking at what's happened with Liam and gone, well, he's qualified 20th twice. This ain't fucking good. Like, we need to do something. Because we don't. Max has literally got his own race by himself. But also saying that Red Bull are their own enemy because they made it that way. It's not the other drivers not wanting to do a good job and not that they can't do a good job. They can. It's Red Bull producing a shit car, and it's not a shit car, but a hard car. Because it's not a shit car. It's a great car because we've seen it because Max Verstappen's dealing with it. But then it's been fine-tuned to him, not to the other drivers. So Red Bull shot themselves massively in the foot, but they haven't given him and the other drivers the opportunity to actually do well because they've got to adapt super quickly. I get it. It's a high-octane sport. You need to grab it with both hands. You need to do well because if you don't, there's always someone there to take your place. But at the same time, you need to give him fucking time because poor Liam's had 2 races. I think it's one of the smallest, least amount of racing I've seen in a team before being dropped. 2. There might be some out there which I can't recall off the top of my head, but it must be up there. It must be up there on the fucking history list of the quickest driver to be pulled from a team. 2 races is mad. But it also shows disrespect to Liam, in my opinion, and I think it's very, very piss poor from Red Bull. And Red Bull, you need to do better. not the drivers. You need to do better as an organisation, because Max could end up getting annoyed with this too. If he keeps losing his teammates every fucking year because they're not performing, and Max is going to be like, well, they are good drivers. Like, he sees potential in all of his teammates, and he's never really put, from what I've seen from the media, he's never pushed for his teammates to get kicked out. He's there saying, give him a chance. Come on, let's work with them. And they're like, no, this ain't happening. Like, they are their own worst enemy, and I'm actually going to go on a limb here. I think Red Bull are one of the shittest teams on the grid. They've got one of the best cars, and they've got the best driver. But when I say best cars, I mean that in the hands of Max Verstappen. But we've seen, with every other teammate going in that car, it's hard. Perez did a really good job that season when he got second place, but that car was so dominant. He was still like, some races, he was like 20 seconds off Max Verstappen, but because how quick the car was, it didn't show. But as soon as that car became, the same as McLaren's and Ferraris and Mercedes, that gap was the same between Max and Checo, but the gap was huge. So Checo was getting 13th place, 12th place, 9th place. It's realistic. Checo was doing a really good job, but the car is hard. It's shit. Max is just world class, and it's built around him, so he knows the ins and outs. And I just think Red Bull is one of the worst teams to be a part of. I think it's a horrific, scary team to be a part of. And it doesn't give you any trust at all to stay with them or want to go to them, because they just ditch you if you don't perform. And they don't give you the ammunition like they have with Max, and they go, right, we'll build a car for you, we'll modify it for you. It hasn't felt like that at all. It's like they've made a spitting image of Max's car. I might be completely wrong, but looking at Liam's performance and looking at Checo and Alex Albon's experience and other drivers' experience with that car, it's built around Max. So it's really hard for you to adapt. And they're like, well, if it works for him, it should work for you. Learn how to drive. And that's not the way to go around it, because those drivers who have been in that seat know how to drive, and they've proven that they do know how to do it too, ever since leaving or before their career in Red Bull. It's a place where it kills careers and kills dreams. They need to change it. And when they say Red Bull gives you wings, Red Bull fucking seems to fucking cut off your wings. They need to sort it out. It's very, very bad advertising for their team. Why they keep switching teammates and all of this. I can go, oh, drivers aren't good enough. They've got a fucking sister team where they've been grabbing drivers from a very, very young age, grabbing them through the ranks, training them up, making sure they're ready, and they get put in that situation and they can't do it. It's not that they can't do it, it's because they can't do it because of a fucking car and what they've been given underneath them. They need to change. Anyway, so this little podcast rant about Red Bull and a little bit about Ferrari, which is awful from Ferrari at the same time. It's annoying to watch. Like, I love watching Max win races and, battle for it and all of that. I'd rather it be a Ferrari driver, but we got to look at it and just go, do you know what? He is different gravy. He really is. But at the same time, Red Bull doing this whole in and out things with other people's careers and livelihoods and lives and everything is unacceptable. It needs to change. The FIA need to speak up at some point and say, listen to Red Bull, like, what the fuck are you doing? You're saying about, oh, we're the best team bringing in drivers into the sport. Yeah, you are, but you're also one of the worst teams for getting drivers in and then out of the sport. So they need to have a bit of a reflection of like what they actually are trying to achieve. If it's max dominance, I get it, but it's a massive risk to put all of your eggs into one basket, especially when that basket is getting looked at by other birds, aka Mercedes and Aston Martin, to try and grab the main egg, Max. If they can't keep doing that, they need to take a step back and go, if he was to leave, what are we left with? And what they're left with is a P16 car. And that might be what the car is with another average decent driver. But in the hands of Max Verstappen, he will probably make any other car do that well. Let's face it, he's incredible. But anyway, I don't want to be licking his ass and kissing his ass all his podcast. But, you've got to reflect on the goods and the bads of what's going on in Red Bull. There's a lot more bads going on with the other seat than good. And I think that's annoying for Max because it takes away the limelight of him and how well he's doing and how the team have developed a car good enough for him. But it just shows, like, they don't give a crap about their second seat. It's all about Max, and I get it, but it's a massive risk. And will it pay off? Probably, but I don't want it to, because I think they need to be stung. They need to have a reflection period where they go, oh my God, we're really fucking up here. We need to change it, because if we don't, we are buggered. But anyway, thank you very much for listening to this little podcast of me ranting about Red Bull and the Yuki Liam switch. I hope it works out well for Liam, and I hope he gets his confidence back. And above all, I hope Yuki performs. I hope he can. I know we all know he can perform, and this is what I'm worried about. We know he can do it. We know. I know we've seen Isaac Hadjar beat him and do well and other things, but we know Yuki is a good driver, and this is a thing which is daunting. He's going to go there and he may, absolutely flump, or he may absolutely smash it. Time's going to tell, and good luck to Yuki in the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. Can't wait. But anyway, I will catch you guys later. Love you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Red Line Racing Podcast.